the other way. Pori imeshiba inakuwa considered the ultimate power play juu noti na Simba kopi umeshika ya title si valley juu walisha grab land. Mkombozi aliapishwa kafiga ukoloni inalipa so shamba yenye mgoso aliprefer imepigwa fence. Matemo na peace kwa grave juu leader aliturn against the very people alifight kuliberate akitry kuprotect family bees. Story unapiga ilifanya mtetezi wa haki akadisappear. Karaoke na miso huko utazimwa Gunyayo na lead the way. Matiba kaflip udinga utafinywa bangs. Watachachisha kwa media leo kesho wakuforget. Kesi imetingwa jicho pevu go blind. Ever since status za mheshimiwa umeficha ulipitwa na news. Story saa moja ni kiso ulipimwa ikajipa.
Salamu kwanza mambo vipi? Mabrother sis mko fiti. Shangazi jomba je rafiki. Wakenya kote mashabiki. Wakulima kwa shamba dereva manamba wazeki na mama tubonge. Msichana mfulana mabibi mabwana cha muhimu bana jamii songe. Ni sera ni hatuna ni ajira ni hakuna ama serikali wajibiki. Onyango Fatuma Bakari Maimuna kilio majonzi na dhiki. So chapo dondo maji glass. Kikombe ya majani hapo sawa. Kichapo mamodo atanas. People power.
Charlie's terrible. From Monday to Sunday ni ngumu nipate ni uchungu na let it go. We never settle. Hustling kila pande na jeshi home. Kidogo napata nasema asante kwa Mungu alete more. It's very bent, me and my people we are struggling every day. Na malipo jajiko kotiko anataka nimtumie dipo ndo wachoche case ngumu kuelevate. But we never give up, tunapambana kila siku hatutawe give up. Mchana mpaka siku kutafuta buda. Makesi mingi mpaka zimeshinda bensuda. Machungu kila muda.
Walikuja na katiba, wakadai hii ndio tiba. Wakasema ni muujiza na obvious sadaka lazima wataitisha. Sheria inakata mbele na nyuma, watu inakata na oni ya huruma. Wamekula nyama wamebakisha mifupa, Wanjikoke nguru wapambane na mifupa. Time zetu zimefika, muda atakulalisha.
Wewe ujue ni youth so tuanze kuchachisha.
Kazi ni kwetu sasa.
Ama tukoseza sapa.
Juu tumechoka sana.
For real na hao ma corrupt leaders.
Ukabila tukiacha.
Hapo ndio tutaanza.
Ishamba na jua ni kubwa.
Ni sisi tunafaa kupanda.
Rauka uvunje kitanda.
Pamoja tu rise up ndio
Kenya izidi kutamba.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
All right, a very good morning to you, our listeners from wherever you are listening from. This is Power Morning Drive at Power Radio. This is Omonde Chuka and your host. How are you doing? How's your weekend? It's been raining mad crazy.
Yeah, our compound got flooded today.
Yes.
Last night.
Yes.
At around 11 in the night, in our tenants group chat in WhatsApp, somebody sent a very a picture of our compound completely flooded. Okay. But I knew that in the morning it's going to be better. It's going to sink down because it has been very dry. So
yes.
And I was playing FIFA the whole weekend. Sunday. On Saturday, I was recording for Dialogues with Jagero.
Okay.
A project that I'm very passionate about.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. I was outside yesterday with my support group. When I came back, it was very late. The rains were dropping crazy. Yeah, I had a lot of people were trapped in the expressway.
What do you mean support group?
My cancer support group. Support group is just like a community of fellow cancer survivors.
Survivors.
Yes. So
what do you guys do there? What do you guys talk about?
We do talk about our experiences. We also run a book club. We also do volunteering, and we also visit each other sometimes when we can.
That's amazing.
So that has been the highlight of my weekend.
Yeah, so I think even when we are talking about the meat of our topic today, which is alcoholism and how it affects young people and even all the way to, advanced ages.
Yes.
I think that would be interesting because I think support groups are very, very important.
They're crucial.
I had lately a lot of the video that I did last year on Dialogues with Jagero has been going viral on TikTok.
Yes.
I think in the wake of alcoholism that is plaguing our country. So it will be interesting to have a look at what is going on.
We want to look at, is it a suggestion or is it a bigger look or a bigger picture? Does it show, is it a symptom of a bigger picture? Because
alcoholism. I have a lot of opinion about it that are not necessarily based on scientific study.
Right.
I think sometimes alcoholism is an escape. Sometimes it's a trial when you are young, and then you get trapped into that cage, into that prison of alcoholism. And even as you grow up, I think as we grow up, things get worse for us.
Right.
Responsibilities mount.
Right.
Family come about. The government is on your case. Probably your spouse, probably your friends, probably your family.
So there's an added pressure to.
Yeah, so you tend to go towards things that can give you that short spike of happiness. Yeah.
All right. So we'll delve on that much deeper as we go along.
Yeah.
But do speak to us on X or Twitter at Power Morning Drive #.
Yeah.
This is Power Morning Drive at Power Radio.
Yeah.
We're gonna have 2 songs before we come back and then proceed.
Yeah, when we come back, we're going to be talking about local news as usual. We're going to touch on the world news, and then we're going to be talking about what is on the papers. And then at the tail end of our morning drive, we are going to be talking about alcoholism.
Right.
Ama ulevi. Is it ulevi?
And ulevi.
Ulevi.
Yeah.
Substance abuse.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Tupitisha machungu 5 years ago. Wamerudi tena na promises tamu tamu. Kakuchocha sukari na kopa. Sai Kenya imejaa deni hata kwa mama mboga huwezi kopa.
Kwenye natoka kuna mandenga mafedi kudai pay hadi na life kupanda bay ngori kwa busy ya daily 10 millionaires 10 million beggars kweli revolution ili delay weka ngumi pale hewani tuna anthem kachwani boresha hali kwani wakipromote makali makat na bangi tuna quote Wangari Mahatma Gandhi mikono ya serikali refu sijui gani ni gani
mkono wa serikali mkono wa serikali mkono wa serikali hiyo ndio serikali
Betrayal in the city kwa giza kunanuka jasho ya maiti Judas amefufuka kwa season 2 ya kuleta busu but hii haikuhusu juu yali prefer handshake mpaka economy wameishake tunakula maisha na salad daktari alidai nisikule chakula kibanda nilimsho nimenona jua kukula nutrients za hongo nimechukua tende iko bongo na mkinifuata huko nitauzia mpaka akili zenu kwa ubongo
Shake psycho fans greetings in quotes ndio topic ya symposium infected handshake tuiweke quarantine hata kani kuijengea aquarium gava bila watchdog wako ni good time sahi fani sana kasa maki kuhisi kiu sahi wana go overboard na sugar mami wameka mercury kwa sugar tunalia mami handshake imefanya tumebaki kuulizia press ya pillowcase after jurisdiction but tumezoea bro
mkono wa serikali mkono wa serikali mkono wa serikali hiyo ndio serikali mkono wa serikali mkono wa serikali mkono wa serikali hiyo ndio serikali
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Unit kwa wengine disunity kwa wengine tumefocus nao sana tukasahau the main victims in this written script. All they care about is their ambitions. We mean nothing to them, so listen. Baba si mama, baba si mama. Mama ananyokwa kinyozi, so daily nitamuita baba. Wewe ndio unaijua shida mnazopitia. Listen, my silence is so loud. I'm saying everything but saying nothing at all.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Pawa Radio.
Oh no, no. Oh yeah, yeah. Juzi nilikuwa nimetulia kwangu nyumbani, kwa jirani nikasikia kelele za kuhuzunisha, nikasongea kusudia kuelewa kinachoendelea. Mbona mke analia, wampiga bila huruma? Kumbe ni kawaida, toka kitambo ni mazoea. Hakuna raha nyumbani na watoto wanaumia. Vita si suluhisho, no, si suluhisho. Vita si suluhisho, no, si suluhisho. Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi mtunzie. Si lazima tuishi hivi, inaumiza roho. Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi mtunzie. Si lazima tuishi hivi, inaumiza roho.
Kila wakati ni matusi, vita imekuwa ni kawaida. Hatuwezi kuongea kubadilishana mawaidha. Mume wangu wabishwi, anajiona shujaa. Hata ninaogopa sema yako si vitisho. Imekuwa ni kawaida, tangu kitambo nishazoea. Pesa pia natafuta na mapenzi nazidishia. Heshima mimi nampa, ila sikosi kilio.
Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi mtunzie. Si lazima tuishi hivi, inaumiza roho. Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi mtunzie. Si lazima tuishi hivi, inaumiza roho. Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi mtunzie. Si lazima tuishi hivi, inaumiza roho. Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi mtunzie. Si lazima tuishi hivi, inaumiza roho.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Pawa Radio.
What's up? Uko aje? Uko kwa jam, uko kwa traffic, unaenda job ama uko place ya job ama uko mtaani unafanya jobs, chores kwa nyumba.
Uchuka, mimi unajua Kiswahili ni ngumu sana kwangu. Ulimi yangu ni mzito sana.
Kwa hivyo ushapita quota yako ya Kiswahili for 1 week.
Hapana. Naweza ongea Kiswahili. Ile ya kuandika. Ile ya kuandika najua.
Okay.
Lakini ile ya kuongea.
Hiyo ndio hapo ndo kuna issue, tashwishi.
Hapo ndo kuna tashwishi.
Okay.
But I can speak very good Swahili.
Okay.
When I want. So
okay.
For a few minutes. It can be very good. So we are talking about news for today. Sindio?
Yes.
News around the world. Number one is that the government is removing floor limit for high-rise buildings. Sasa tunaweza enda mpaka 90.
Tunaenda di Karen, tunaweka 10 floors.
Pana Karen. Karen huwezi There are places you cannot do that thing, man.
Yeah.
They have got a very tough. I don't know what they call them. Estate committee
Regulations. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember the tiff that was there in Lavington about somebody trying to build a petrol station without talking to the members of the community.
But I've seen that the same petrol station has mushroomed the same place, same spot.
Obviously, there is nothing you can do, however strong you are as an estate committee, when probably somebody in the government wants to put up something there. Kwani wewe unaweza fanya nini? Unaweza do nini?
But it does help.
Yeah?
I think it's something that used to be there back in the day, and I don't know whether in other areas, in other mtaa zinafazikue. I've seen it in other areas like new estates, like Obama Estate. I used to live there with my auntie.
Yeah.
So you'd find there's a committee. I think it's something we need to bring back. It creates a sense of a community.
Nyumba Kumi. Is it Nyumba Kumi?
Yeah, that's the idea that government had when they wanted to initiate Nyumba Kumi.
Yeah.
So that we don't live just in concrete buildings. You don't know even your neighbor looks like.
Yeah.
Hata huwezi omba chumvi.
Yeah, Mimi, I know a lot of my neighbors, but also I don't know quite a number of them.
Yes, okay.
Windfall for coffee farmers, a state disperses 4 billion. Yeah.
So they published the names. In Homa Bay, there was only one person who was supposed to be getting 100 Gs. I don't know. I wonder who's the coffee farmer in Homa Bay. But I saw they published the names of beneficiaries in, I think, top 10 counties.
Yeah. What is the highest amount that somebody got? Do you remember?
No, they release a batch per county and then they share amongst the coffee farmers. So it's not declared.
So Homa Bay County got 100 Gs?
Because there was only one coffee farmer listed. So I'm assuming he's going to bag the 100K.
Floods shut Nairobi roads, hamper Kenya Railway services. What?
Kwa kubaya.
What's going on, man? Our roads are becoming terrible.
Our roads are bad. They're poorly designed. There's poor drainage. So because you see, there's not been proper rain since December. Na imenyesha for 8 hours, and now all of a sudden the roads are impassable. The traffic is bad. The drainage is crazy. Abiria kwanza wanasafa sahi.
Abiria?
Fare imepanda juu na huwezi afford. Some of them are now walking very hard distances or waiting mpaka nini shuke.
Yeah, the Kenya Meteorological Department cautioned Nairobi residents and those of 29 other counties that the heavy rainfall would be experienced in the coming days. Yeah, in its weekly forecast on Sunday, March 24th, Kenya Meteorological Department revealed that 30 counties will experience between moderate and heavy rainfall, asked residents in the regions to stay safe. You know?
Yes.
So, unajua kukinyesha huku Nairobi, kunanyesha huku kwetu nyumbani. Did you know?
Yes, it's almost the same.
Why?
I think we almost share this.
We're in the same line, you know, the way line. Equator.
Yes.
Let's talk about equator.
Yes.
Is that the same thing?
That's the same thing.
So we are asking you wherever you are to stay safe, please. If you see a huge pool of water, don't try wading through it. You never know how deep it is.
Kwanza wase nimona wase wanduthi wapendaga hiyo madoido.
Yeah.
Please be careful.
Very careful.
Don't be a hero. Don't be a hero,
Even
please.
if you're driving.
Yeah.
If you see a big pool of water, you never know what lies there. It might be a huge ditch.
Yeah, right.
You know, getting a new set of suspension is not cheap in this city or in this country, in this world for sure. Pay rise for diploma clinicians as SRC Treasury agree. Clinicians wale majama wako.
Yeah.
Unapewa kakitu.
Unapewa kakitu. That's good for them, man. They deserve it, huh?
Ruto promises Bahati residents 2 years rent to pave way for affordable housing.
What they're saying now, because like remember last week we were talking about legacy estates that are going to be brought down. So they're saying if you are affected, then the government is going to pay for you some rent. I don't know, between 8 to 12 months.
Yeah.
As you try to, get your foot on the ground.
It's a good thing. Hao jamaa wamekuwa very, very comfortable.
But they said that thing when they were upgrading, what do you call it? Kibra.
And they didn't.
It didn't happen.
Probably they are now making a list of their own people in the
own
village.
Beneficiaries. There's a huge scandal there.
Speaking during Palm Sunday at ACK Emmanuel Church, Bahati Makadara, Ruto revealed that instead, the government would pay 2-year rent for the residents. He explained that it was necessary for a section of Bahati residents to be relocated so as to pave way for the construction of 8,000 affordable units. There will be no eviction. Ruto has said every Kenyan will be given somewhere to live as they wait for the houses to be built. That is their job. And rightly so. Sindio?
Oh, yeah, very true.
Abdi Nasir is demanding 200 million detention of XPC. Wanataka government walipe? Dalipangi.
Abdi Nasir.
In another soft news, Rachel Ruto graces the launch of Fourth Man at Weston. Weston Hotel. I don't know what Fourth Man is. Is it? I think it has to be a TV series or what.
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Check.
You check the headlines.
Yeah. First Lady Rachel graced the event, making a significant nod to importance of music in cultural diplomacy. The launch also attracted. The Fourth Man features a collection of 5 soul-stirring tracks. Munoma featuring Shani, I Will Wait, Hear the Sound. Okay.
It's kind of like an album, a music album.
It's an album. You should also invite her for the launch of your book that is coming in the near future.
Probably write for, I don't know, the PO box or what. Write to State House.
She will come.
He's the first lady.
Share move city roads without bus stops, left for passengers. Oh, man.
We talked about this, about road design. There's usually very little concern about the pedestrian. But then again, it's not just about the pedestrian. I think if the roads are well designed, even the motorist is able to navigate very well. They know this is a pedestrian area. Yeah, they know what I need to do in this lane.
Buana, something happened in Embakasi.
What happened?
Residents of Embakasi East, Nairobi County were treated to a spectacle on Saturday after a businessman caused chaos over disputed 14-acre piece of land.
Embakasi?
Yeah, according to the residents who spoke to journalists, the businessman who runs a petrol station in the area resorted to extreme and drove a fuel tanker through the property, intending to destroy the building.
A fuel tanker?
Yeah.
That's not very, very cool.
The residents have now been left counting losses following the incident, which they point out, if left unchecked, can lead to further conflict. He has forcefully driven the tanker through the property, destroying the gate and disrupting businesses. How about if the tanker
had fuel in it?
Probably did.
That's very risky.
Taking law into your hands.
It's very risky.
Taking law into your
very
hands.
Inconsiderate also.
Very, very inconsiderate.
Considering the other time, it's the same Embakasi that we had the gas explosion, that killed about.
That is the same place, bro.
Something needs to be done about that.
Something needs to be done about it.
And speaking of which, Embakasi has been having a lot of land issues.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, when the population really grew in Nairobi and people were moving out of Umoja and Donholm and moving towards further Tasia and Nyayo, most of the land documents were not given. And find that now people are going back to court to check and screen if your land was taken. You find out somebody has already put a flat on it.
Senegal begin voting on Sunday. Voting yesterday.
Yeah, they're saying
to elect a new leader.
Yeah, they're saying fire is ahead. I don't know if he's gonna win.
I don't know who's gonna win. Moscow had a terrorist attack.
In a concert, it was very terrible.
Yeah, Moscow was in a terrible. About 130 people dead, 145 injured in concert hall raid.
That's a tough one. It's usually an American tragedy.
Yeah. Islamic State group claims responsibility. I wonder how Islam is related to Russia.
Islam's never usually attack Russia, so it's a very new phenomenon. I don't know what could be the bone of the issue.
Probably they messed with them somewhere.
Maybe Syria, the Syria issue. Could be.
And Kremlin was blaming Zelensky, Ukraine, for the attack.
It could be a proxy.
Zelensky hits back after Russia links Ukraine to concert attack. Those are the news, my brother.
Okay.
Those are the news. I don't know what is going on in sports. England played Brazil. Brazil winning 1-0 at the famous Wembley Stadium.
It was a friendly.
Yeah, international friendly. He hotly contested.
Oh, yeah?
I wouldn't call it a friendly. Just a precursor for the Euros.
Okay.
For the Britons.
Okay.
For the English.
They want to test their team.
Yeah, so they
is in good shape or what?
To stretch the team and see what happens.
Okay.
In the other news, Germany met France in another very contested one in Lyon, Olympique Lyonnais in France.
In France.
Beating the French.
Their host.
2-0.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Germany is having a very good game, yeah?
Oh, I loved it. It was just amazing.
Football made in Germany.
It was amazing. Tony Kroos.
Yeah. I thought you were telling me when you're coming at
Tony Kroos,
Yeah.
since 1950s. Let's go back to music, and then we come back, we can talk about what is on the dailies.
Yes.
All right?
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
I wish you'd see how pretty I look in the shoes that you bought for me. Kuna matime na tamani, ungeona how happy you make me. Haijalishi kuwa haunioni, ninachodhamini ni mapenzi yetu. Mimi na wewe kitu kimoja, sioni haya tukiwa pamoja. Mimi na wewe kitu kimoja, sioni haya tukiwa pamoja. Mimi na wewe. Mimi na wewe. I wish you'd see the stars in the sky, just to know how amazing they look. I wish you'd see me write this song for you. Alafu cheki wase wakibambika. Haijalishi kuwa haunioni, ninachodhamini ni mapenzi yetu. Mimi na wewe kitu kimoja, sioni haya tukiwa pamoja. Mimi na wewe kitu kimoja, sioni haya tukiwa pamoja. Mimi na wewe. Mimi na wewe. You use your heart to see what most with sight don't see. Waona kila jinsi ya kunihuisha, wafanya nihisi mapenzi ya kweli yapatikana. Mimi na wewe, mimi na wewe, mimi na wewe, mimi na wewe, mimi na wewe. Mimi na wewe.
From your sunrise to sunset, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Mama, Papa, naomba baraka kwenyu niondoke mimi, dada, brother man, hebu someni kwa bidii ndio mje mjini hapa nyumbani. Sisi sio matajiri, ila tunayo akili. Chochote unachohitaji ukikifanyia kazi, yeye atakibariki. Ila wewe usisahau kuomba, na kila unapoomba niombe, nikuombe, kwani maombi yangu pekee hayawezi. Niombe, nikuombe, kwani maombi yangu pekee hayawezi. My now, every day, all day.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Kuna watu hatari wenye mapenzi zenye serikali, letu nalo linajua kali, penzi letu serikali, wajua na kupenda malaika.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Good morning. Where are you listening from? This is Power Morning Drive at Power Radio. Today on the dailies, we're going to look at the few highlights that are making it on the headlines. On the Standard, if government owes you, it's time to strike. It's a very exciting headline on the Standard, yes. On page 2, we have clerics plead over Medic strike as Christians mark Palm Sunday. Yesterday was Palm Sunday. You're a Catholic, yes? Or you used to be? Or you grew up as
It's a family. It's a family.
Family
family church,
affair.
family affair. But I am Anglican.
Okay.
I left the Catholic to my
All right.
to my other family members.
All right. And then we have grief as varsity hosts memorial service for the 11 crash victims. This is the KU fraternity mourning the students who died on a road accident in Voi. And then we have why state plans to close down, children's home. What do you think about that? It's a very interesting topic. We should.
Why do they wanna close it down?
I think they did a study and they're also looking in terms of is it beneficial to have children's home? What I'm wondering is many countries have a very.
But the reason why they're sheltered there is because they don't have family.
Yes, most of them don't have
When
families.
you're redistributing them to families, you mean families like us? You're going to give us strangers, or what does it mean?
I think this is the problem of actually trying to copy stuff, because in the US they have what they call forgotten the name, foster homes and foster care.
Yeah.
So it's a very elaborate system that has been there for a while. So if you say that you're going to close children's home, then they have an alternative. But here we do not have that. A majority, in fact, there's a paper I was reading on a thesis somebody published on sociology, and they are saying that almost 60% of these children do not have a direct link of an immediate family. As uncle, brother to your sister or your mom.
The other issue is when, for example, let's take for example that family X.
Yes.
So you are asking Bernard to take a few kids, maybe 2, to go and take care of them. So when you give Bernard these children, are you giving him unga? Are you giving him milk?
That's
the problem.
Giving
him school fees?
Because ideally, that's
because foster homes are basically NGOs, isn't
they are NGOs. They're CSOs actually.
Can we read a little bit about what they're saying in that? So we see what the story is really about.
Let's look at it on a slightly shortly kidogo.
Yeah.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
So one of the highlights is saying the director of Child and Family Focus says a children's home is like a magnet in the community that pulls needy families and children to think that it is the only solution to the problems they are encountering. Poverty should never be a reason to separate a child from their family, which is, I think, is misleading.
It's very misleading.
It's very misleading. And then they have highlights. They say that 850 is the number of registered private and charitable children's institutions in Kenya. That's a very high number. And then we have 1,700 children living in government-run institutions, including rehabs, remand, reception, and rescue centers. And then we have 9.5 million children deprived of more than 3 basic rights. This is housing, education, and shelter. And then we have estimated number of children roaming the streets in Kenya stands at 15,752. And then we have 3.6 million number of orphans in Kenya that are prone to poverty, neglect, and abuse. That's the numbers. But then we are saying that the officials are saying many years of research have provided overwhelming proof that institutional care does more harm than good to children's home. There used to be at this international school, do you remember they called the Bridge?
Yes.
They were accused by, I think, World Bank, that there was a lot of sexual abuse in that school. I think one was...
Was it closed down?
It was closed down. It was abandoned, literally. There's one in Elbagon and there used to be one in Upper...
There are very many.
The main ones that was highlighted for sexual abuse were this one in Elbagon.
How was the World Bank involved in knowing about that?
I think they were part of the sponsors.
Oh, they were sponsors?
Yes. And then now they were saying that institutions are warming up to government idea and taking children in their care back to their families and seeking alternative care for those who do not have homes to go to.
Something is confusing.
What is
here.
alternative care?
What something is confusing here? Wait,
Right.
the kids that are put up in children's homes have parents.
No. If they have parents, most of them is slightly a paltry of less than 16% from what I'm reading. So when they say alternative care, this is very misleading by the government.
Yeah.
Because most of these kids are total orphans. Like, you can't trace an immediate family. And even if you can, these people also have their own families. They have their own kids to take care of. And we all know what the government
What is the models, how are they going to do this exactly?
They have not
Are they going to tell Bernard that, Bernard, sasa wewe chukua hawa watoto, you have no otherwise? Ama itakuwaje?
So, okay, according to Abdinur Muhammad, Chief Executive of the National Councils of Children's Service, the idea is remove vulnerable children and orphans from charitable children's institutions, commonly known as children's home and or orphanage, and then transition them to family and community-based care before 2032 deadline. So we don't have that structure. That's why I'm worried about, if you are removing them from children's home, what's your alternative care? What structure have you put in place for these kids?
Anyway, going on
in the papers, we see that the sports, Cheruiyot and Mutua crowned Lukenya Marathon champions. That's on the sports on the Standard. And then happy 60th birthday, AFC Leopard. And then on the Daily Nation, we have revealed on the front page, schools that no one wants.
What does that mean?
Machozenye watu wataki. I'll get to it, but I think what it means is like school like Kileleshwa Primary School. They're saying it's supposed to be having a capacity of more than 2,000 students, and yet they only have less than 300.
Kileleshwa?
Primary.
I thought it was very difficult to bring to take children to kids to Kileleshwa.
Yes.
But why are they having such a small number then?
Because most people, from the dailies, are reading that most people are struggling because the students are coming as far from Kangemi, from Kibra, to go study there.
So the problem is transport and how to navigate that.
Yes,
Sometimes public transport doesn't work well.
Yes, because
so you must have private transportation.
Right. And I think the Senator Gloria, or I think Miss Gloria, has been at the forefront of actually looking for alternative public transport for students that are coming from other areas. The idea is public schools like Kileleshwa Primary were built for the locals around it, but you find most people in that area do not take their kids to such schools. They take them to other private institutions.
Okay.
So you find that if it was supposed to take 2,000, it only takes a few from around the area and some from other areas.
Can we then say that Kileleshwa Primary School has not developed that school to rival the private schools around it?
Yes.
Because St. George's doesn't have the same problem.
It doesn't have the same problem. It actually attracts some students from around.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think the problem is that what is the state of that school? That's the question.
It's very good, actually, in my opinion. I've been there. We've run a program there. I think it's a good school. It's just that sometimes many people frown upon public institutions. And because it's Kileleshwa, which for a long time has been having a certain reputation as a middle income level estate. So most of them do not prefer to take their students there, but it's a very good school compared to many schools that I know. Oh, yeah. And then we have a fatal attack on detective lands DJ Joe Mfalme police officers in hot water.
Hiyo story ya DJ Mfalme nilisoma kidogo lakini sikuelewa vizuri. Kuna nini na
there's a lot of mystery around it. Apparently this land officer they went into a debacle with Joe Mfalme, and there was a beating that happened and the police officer lost his life. We do not know the details, but he was arrested to give his statement. I'm not sure if the police have released any information further than that yet, but we will keep you updated when we get the news. And then we have colorful parades mark Palm Sunday. And then on page 5, we have irony of schools that have space but few learners, the way we have just talked about it. And then on page 6, we have Mount Kenya population is at risk due to illicit drugs, DP says. And then on page 10, we have NAT decries omission of 15,857 teachers from promotion list. And then domination as KCB and Cabra set another epic final contest in the rugby. And then Naivasha comes alive as events near. Naivasha is a very interesting town.
Yeah.
I usually feel like Naivasha is sleeping on it. It could be the next Vegas of our country. Place ya sherehe.
The next Vegas of our country.
Yes.
But it's got very narrow roads going.
Yes, ukiingia ni hivyo,
Yeah,
ukitoka ni hivyo. I think they really.
I think Naivasha is one of those places that we would have, built. What is it called? That thing that looks
model
like Safari
city.
Rally, but it's.
The GP. The
Yes.
GP karting, yes. Like the Formula One or what?
Yes, the Formula One.
It would be really good because even the WRCs has been featured around Naivasha for a long time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder why our government has not built those things. You know, right now, big economies like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain are really building sports centers. Even Rwanda, our neighbors here, has built very, very good sporting complexes.
And it's very interesting because governments are moving towards, they're actually shifting from traditional sports like football, and they're actually including other avenues like GP karting. We find in-house sports like tennis and badminton. So I think we should look at it, and we should look in terms of which towns or which centers can actually host some of these sporting activities. And then now we have KQ on Business Daily. We have state employees crosses 70,000 mark on average salary. And then KQ defends extension of shares as trade freeze. And then of page 5, we have Kenya spent 11 billion on inaugural nuclear reactor. Are we moving towards nuclear energy?
They have spent how much?
11 billion Kenyan shilling.
Can we read a little bit about that, Ochoka? It's a very interesting
It's interesting.
thing.
I found it also very interesting. So give me a jingle.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio. Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Did you get it? Panapata. What did you say it is, the government?
The government to spend 11 billion on inaugural
11 billion on?
Inaugural nuclear reactor.
Nuclear reactor.
Yes.
Kenya to spend, yeah, I got it.
You got it?
I got it. It's on the date. It's on the. Kenya will require at least 11 billion as initial cost of developing the country's first nuclear research reactor in what is expected to be stepping towards nuclear power production. Power is expensive in this country, bro.
And it's very funny because I don't think we have a shortage of power. I think we have we have the capacity to have excess surplus of power.
Why do you say so?
First of all, we are not utilizing our full potential from geothermal to wind to hydropower. Because also we are in an era where we are moving towards renewable and clean energy, and we have that capacity to do so. I think there's just a huge breakdown of infrastructure, number one, and then also the monopoly and lack of accountability on most of our energy sector drivers like KPLC, KenGen. So there's just a huge breakdown in terms of how policy is formulated, and number two, also how these institutions have enjoyed monopoly over time, and therefore they have very little disregard in terms of being more accountable, being more innovative. Yeah, because like I was telling you, there's been no power in a place for the last 1 week.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen at all.
Shouldn't happen.
In this day and age. Yes.
A lot of problems going on. So I think we will go back to music, and then after that we are coming back to the meat of our discussion. Today we are discussing alcoholism, the menace. Gachagua, has been on the forefront, thinking that
Yes,
Mount Kenya is slowly slipping into that darkness of alcoholism, and the same problem basically is everywhere in the country, everywhere around the world. Alcohol addiction is. We are also going to play just a section of a discussion I had with a gentleman, Mr. Dan Oringe, on Dialogues with Jagero, and see what alcoholism meant for him the gentleman talked at length about the effects of alcoholism and what it did to him, to his life, his career, professional life, and his family.
Okay.
You know? So let's go back to music, and then when we come back, we can be able to get into the meat of our discussion today.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Focus vibration.
Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Kenya nchi yetu, Kenya nchi yetu. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Kenya nchi yetu, Kenya nchi yetu. Hakuna matata, hakuna majanta. Daily mtani mangata. Kumekens meet ni hand kama kupanda mlima na bagai na matanga. Ni easy Kenya kuharasiwa na polisi. Wezi get hizi services for free kwa hizi ofisi. Hadi langia shule nataka wakule. That shows you vile pia wamedharau elimu ya bure juu ni bure. All those years of kusoma but you're not yet learning. Wameturn radical, pressures of life ndo zimewaharden. Asante ya punda ni mateke. They are guilty. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Kenya nchi yetu, Kenya nchi yetu. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Kenya nchi yetu, Kenya nchi yetu. Siku hizi politics kwa kanisa. Siku hizi vitu zinafanyika kwa giza. Mashash kwa misa. Abracadabra ni kama siku hizi society inahitaji a new Jesus. Cheki, so many religions, denominations, sijui ministries. Usawa shani takafiri. But it's okay, time imeisha, piga firimbi. Ni red card kwa ule politician mwenye fanyi kazi mtaani. Red card kwa ule mse mtiaji mtaani. So unajua kama ni informa utaki uta make it. Hold up, I'm not stopping kama lori mekatika breki. Lakini ni sawa, like I said before, I don't see nothing wrong with comedy. Abracadabra, mnajua mnataka tu ni dedi. Ndio mnieke makomiti. Jati kwa sababu sikuti. Na nikiwa uhai nilikuwa nafungiwa hadi keja. Where were you then? Abracadabra, so unajua that is it. Na kama nikiweka magoti chini alafu nimalize kusema amen. Hakuna matata, hakuna majanta. Walisema watatengenezea makazi, but the watu walipatia watoto wao matenda. Hao ndio wako huko hivyo na sukuma zile agendas. Lakini ni sawa, si unajua watatumia armies and armies, but hizo armies tarudi back to sender. Revolution, so ina revolve around this nation. Time yetu ndio imefika, vijana tabaki tumeungana. Hakuna matata.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Malenga wa kubadilisha unia, kama una masikio sikia, usije basi ukapuliza gunia, na wenye roho nyepesi watasengenya, hawatatuombea. Nami nishakupenda wewe, kwa wazazi nikupeleke. Mimi nishakupenda wewe. kuivuta subira jaribu kuivuta leo, subira jaribu kuivuta leo.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Hello. Ni aje mama? Nimeona umetry kunicall. Ukinicall nilikuwa studio. Anyway, ukiwasha simu usionicall tupige ile story.
Sedo. Fungulia TV uone vijana wako wakifanya mambo ndani ya mitambo mama. Sauti tamu kwenye redio, nimefika hapa juu ya maombi yako, hata kama sijafika niendako. I know I'm on my way, napenda ukitabasama. I hope I make you even prouder. Na uzidishiwe after uone nikivuka boda. As I get older, lean on my shoulder. Umenifunza mengi ya
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio. From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio. Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Between weed addiction and alcohol addiction before we go on.
For me, in my case, weed used to supplement. I never really got addicted to weed. But weed used to give me the high to go to bed because I couldn't get that high from alcohol. Number one, because it was expensive. And number two, it would need a lot of alcohol. So weed used to supplement the alcohol. I'd get high. So as I mentioned...
At the dopamine level.
Yes, basically, exactly. So basically, whatever works for you may not work for me. There's somebody who can smoke weed once a week, and it's fine. Next week, he doesn't have to. Occasionally, he would. Good for him. But for some other people, their body responds differently. So you'll find him starting to smoke more. The same way I'm talking about drinking. Yeah. There are people in rehab who are there because of marijuana. Is it because they smoked too much? Yes. But why did they smoke too much? Genetics. The brain discovered that marijuana releases excess dopamine. And the brain is always chasing dopamine. And when it finds the substance that does that for it, that's it. Nothing else matters in this world. You come and try and talk to somebody, it will not make sense because the brain already is aligned with this particular drug of choice. So for people, it's different. It's not the same for all of us. My CEO once told me that every drug you use has its particular level of influence on you. Whether you use it occasionally, it has its issues to a particular level. And for him, he was able to identify his. Like he would say, whenever I drink beer, I'd find in the evening I argue with my wife. You know, that's the level for him. For somebody else, whenever he drinks, he loses money. It could not be an addiction, but he has realized, he's conscious of what this does for him. So you can choose. So this thing of being a social user is also debatable because it could have its effects on you that you become comfortable with. Yeah. And I normally tell people to be conscious of what this does and you can make your decision about it. So we're talking about weed. So marijuana, it depends with genes. When I see somebody who is psychotic, somebody who is in rehab, now that I understand addiction, I know that for him, he cannot smoke normally or socially like the rest. And the earlier he finds that out, the better for him. And weed, of course, has some serious effects, the psychosis. I saw some people in rehab. Before they became normal, it took time as compared to alcohol. Yeah, so
we were at this place that where you are alone, you have to fend for yourself, things are not.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio. Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio. Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Let's go.
Shati uchi kwa flow. Uweni hizo simamini na mashati chizi samo. Wacheni seme story ya hare na mashori mabale raba Johnny. Ziko kwa wingi na sasa twende nchini kikleto utaamini na kiri na mungiri de picto tumewasili. Sing along now. Hare, 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 hare. Amke, hare, tukaruke, hare, tuchizike. Hare, hare, hare. Amke, hare, tukaruke, hare, tuchizike. Basi wachani endele kupiga makelele. Tuko wapi kengele mamanzi hapo mbele. Sura nzuri na nywele tumeshikwa na nyege. Saturuke sengenge twende tukasekede. Ati nini segede? Umeingia kani mikono hewani na pesa mfukoni. Nyama kwa sahani okota kahani. Peleke gizani mwambie wa mtamani. Vipi hadharani? Hey, hey, jamani chezo kasarani moto pale ndani. Samahani. Uweni hizo simamini na mashati uchi kwa flow. Uweni hizo simamini na mashati chizi samo. Wacheni seme story ya hare na mashori mabale raba Johnny. Ziko kwa wingi na sasa twende nchini kikleto utaamini na kiri na mungiri de picto tumewasili. Amke hare tukaruke hare tuchizike. Hare hare hare. Amke hare tukaruke hare tuchizike.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Oya ni aje.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, we were talking about something and then something. There was a problem with audio before we got back.
Yeah.
Today we wanted to speak about alcoholism.
Leo rada ni mihadarati na vile inadhuru mavijana. Not that mavijana, I think ni menace to kwa society.
Yeah.
Juzi nimeona DP alienda kwa madhi fulani.
Yeah.
I think ilikuwa uko one of the counties in Mount Kenya.
And
this is very sad. This mother lost 7 sons to illicit brew. Na tumeona in most parts of our country mihadarati, particularly alcohol, kamnyweso, ina affect sana, inadhuru sana many households. So we want to look at it at a really deeper level, examine what it is, if it is a symptom of a bigger picture, or how to go about it in terms of our communities and our individual members of the society, like the youth.
Yeah, Gachagua has been on the forefront
Yes,
against
him and
alcohol addiction.
him and the second lady.
Yes, obviously, I think it is coming from religion, and they have been very big with God and the ills in the community. So, Deputy President Gachagua,
he also says that it's very personal to him because at some point he was
an addict.
He was a heavy drinker. Which is a very honest place. I wish we could approach issues, because the thing is, one thing that I've noted with many policies in our country is sometimes we feel so withdrawn from it, and therefore they don't aim to address the human side of who we are, because addiction is a real problem. And sometimes you think that it's so far away because we don't have any real person who is addicted to it.
Yes.
But if we know that somebody can come out, especially particularly in the higher office, and humanize themselves and say, I have been in this place and it's really possible to come out of it if we come together and address it, then I think it's a good show of vulnerability and leadership.
Yeah, so earlier on we wanted to listen to a discussion that I had with a former addict, and I think when we were introducing the person, I think there was something wrong with the audio, so our audience did not get context. So this is a discussion that I had on Dialogues with Jagero with a gentleman called Dan Renge. The video has really gone viral on TikTok. It has gone viral on Facebook and even on YouTube. So we wanted to, play this small clip. It's about 3 minutes. Him talking about addiction and some of the things that happened to him. And then after that, we are going to be talking about, I think for me, I really want to talk about, we're talking about vulnerability and talking about the things that affected people. Gachagua is saying that alcoholism affected him. I also have a story about alcohol and alcoholism in my family and in my village and around me. And I think it is important to draw from our stories, to draw from our experiences with alcohol, and then see some of the things that are being said out there about. We're going to be talking about. We are not clinicians, or we are not counselors, but we are going to be reading from authoritative sites, about discussing from authoritative sites on if you are into this, how do you get out of it? So I don't know, Bena, if you're able to play it. About it. What is your definition of alcoholism, addiction to alcohol? What is it? Can you broadly tell us from your experience of what you have learned?
So what I've learned is, if you look at an alcoholic, and remember I mentioned to you, it's not good to call them drunkards, because the drunkardness is the outward behavior. Alcoholism is the condition that causes drunkardness. So they say research says 70% of alcoholics are alcoholics because of genetic predisposition. 30% is because of childhood trauma. So I fall in the 70%. So even for you, Jagero, you're predisposed to alcoholism. If it hasn't caught you, it could catch your child if he drinks. So alcoholism is, what I learned is that there's a gene. So we react differently to alcohol. Example, I used to smoke cigarettes, but I never got addicted to them. I used to smoke them at a particular point in the night. But somebody else is addicted to cigarettes. Why? We're different genetically. So we learned that there's a gene they've called the X factor that is dormant. But immediately it's exposed to alcohol, the addiction begins. So everybody has a story about when they started until when they realized it's a problem. And you go through a cycle of addiction. They start with regular use, then it becomes risky, then it becomes dependency, addiction, then rock bottom. So what happens is, when I drink alcohol, the alcohol causes the brain to release a hormone called dopamine, the happy hormone. But for me, mine causes a spike as compared to you. So me, when I drink, my dopamine spikes as compared to you. And that's what now the brain starts to identify as the provider of dopamine. So everything else starts to become boring, even sex, even food. The brain starts identifying that dopamine is only achieved through drinking. Now that's where the vicious cycle begins, because for you, you'll have your 4 beers and you'll have enough. But me, I don't know when to have enough. So with that spike of dopamine, and I end up maybe blacking out, tomorrow when I wake up, the dopamine level is very low as compared to yours. And that's where the common kutoa lock comes from. So I have to come and stabilize it. But stabilizing it means I go over above again. So that cycle keeps on going on. But we don't see it. We're only seeing the behavior of somebody drinking who anapenda pombe. He just loves alcohol. But that's not the case. It's his brain chasing after dopamine. The outward behavior now starts leading to downward trends. You cannot do your education well. You can't keep a job. Can't keep a family. Just because you are sick. Because now your brain is wired differently. It is totally dependent on a...
Okay. Chuka, what do you think about that? What you've just had?
It's a very interesting thing. And
yeah.
I think demystifying the myth of alcoholism is very important. That's number one.
Yeah.
Before we go to all the other co-factors that contribute to abuse and addiction, we are realizing from that very short clip, very informative, and this is somebody that has gone through it. So in a way, he is an expert on it because he is giving first-hand encounter. Talking about yes.
Expert.
Yeah, he is well resourced in terms of how it has affected him and how he has studied and researched on how it affects other people. So we have that there are predispositions. That's a very tough English word, but the idea ni ukiwa mtu vile umeumbika, there are certain things that makes you predisposable kwa kutumia alcohol.
Yeah.
Na hizi ni vitu za genes, genetics.
Yeah.
So if, for example, that's why you find in certain families, alcoholism runs in the blood. That's what we say kwa lugha ya mtaani. Iko kwa damu yao. You familiar?
Yeah.
You walevi wote. But as we are seeing the outward behavior, according to Dan Oreng, we are seeing the outward behavior.
Yeah.
And yet what we should be pursuing is, are these people more predisposable to alcoholism? What makes them so? Because they have a genetic factor that if triggered, remember, amesema kila mtu could actually be an addict, particularly if you have that genetic disposition. So if that triggers it, and then I'm sure what even in movies, they usually say that cocaine is has a higher propensity for addiction, because when you take the first one, cocaine and heroin, if you take the first one, you will always be chasing the first high, like your virginity high. For lack of a better term, let me explain that. He says that when you wake up in the morning, na jana ulikuwa umetumia miadarati like alcohol, you took some alcohol, you'll be chasing the dopamine you felt jana.
Yeah.
Because alcohol usually makes you really happy and excited. You feel like, you're on top of the world. So if you wake up in the morning, remember your alcohol level has gone down, but you want to get to where you are jana. So that's why mtaani kwa base, mtu anaenda anatoa lock.
Yeah.
Unaelewa? Anaenda kutoa lock because he wants to be in the same space that dopamine gave him yesterday or high yesterday. And this, when you don't realize it, because when you're doing it on the first, second day, second week, by the time you realize it, you are an addict. And then one very good distinction that he makes is alcoholism is more of a disease or a condition than it is a symptom of something.
Tusiwaite walevi.
Yeah, so we always call them drunkards or nanini mlevi, but then again, it is a condition, and most people say that it is a disease that needs intervention, particularly medical and social rehabilitation. Yes.
I remember when we were back in the village, a lot of my uncles and cousins of my uncles, cousins of my father, were basically, walevi, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So, for example, I saw it in my family, my immediate family. My father really loved the bottle, and his father loved the bottle. As a matter of fact, his father was trading in raw material for making alcohol, molasses. Yeah, so
Yes.
my granddad was a huge. So what I remember,
Ulikuwa Tom grown.
yes, what I remember are huge drums that were
Yes.
usually filled with molasses.
And they used to bring these tankers from
Yeah.
Rhone, and I remember back in the 90s, yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think one of my grandmother's step-grandmother was also brewing alcohol.
Mm.
My mother at some point brewed alcohol. My father was basically the addict of the family. It is interesting that my mother never drank alcohol, or even if she drank, she would not be. I don't consider somebody who really loved the bottle. She did not completely. But my father really, really loved it. You know, he was an accountant in Kisumu, and he couldn't wait to be home in the village to start the drinking spree with his cousin. So later on, of course, my dad passed on. But then, so my grandfather was a drunkard, and then my father, and then my elder brother really, really went hard into it. You know, and then our last born. And then sisi tuliachwa tu hapo katikati. So I wasn't one, my sister wasn't the one, and the other sister wasn't the one. But you see the pattern.
Yes.
You see the addiction of how it jumped from one person to the other.
Yeah.
And when it talks about predisposition and the genetics, you can see very well that hiyo kitu iliwacha watu wengine. So the genetics did not follow others. It from my grandfather, it jumped to my father, it jumped to our eldest brother, and then to our last born. Now wengine wakaachwa. My sister drinks socially, you know. I take wine socially, I drink socially. But you see, I am not predisposed. I didn't go.
I see, full throttle.
Yeah,
yes.
He's talking about the dopamine level.
Activation of that gene, yeah.
He can take 3 bottles. For us, we can take 3 bottles and go home and rest. For him, he didn't know when it is enough.
When to stop.
So for him, when he tastes alcohol, the spike is too high. You see? So for us who are average, the spike doesn't go too high. You see? So for them, they always want the one that hits the ceiling. Even though live in a tokelezea.
I see.
You see?
I see.
So and then it jumped. So from my grandfather, it jumped to my other uncle is not an alcoholic, you know, but his kids had a problem with alcohol. Then you go to Awale's family. Awale's family now, that gene did not go there at all. Like no one drinks there, you know. So it's very, very, very interesting how that goes. But so I think that it's a very, very, very big problem, and because of other problems that we are having in life, it becomes worse and worse and worse and worse. You know, and they talk about the effects. Do you know the effects of alcohol?
The effects of alcohol are many. They range because one thing about alcohol is it does not only affect the person, the individual, or their body. It affects aspects of their life. So if they're married, if they are in a relationship, if they have a work, if they have a productive employment history, it's gonna affect that. And then of course we have to look at the mental health. And then also of course you have to look at risks of health complications or even death. So these are some of the effects of alcohol that I know. We can break them down a little bit.
There is an organization called alcohol, the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. They have got a very, very nice diagram. I wish we could give Bernard this to show on online, but anyway, they are just starting from the brain. There is the hemorrhagic stroke in the brain, and then there is the cardiomyopathy. I don't know what that is. And then acute respiratory problem, distress syndrome, pneumonia, myopathy, and wasting. It affects the pancreas, it affects the bone, it affects the intestines, it affects the liver, it affects the oral cavity, it affects your cardio. So a whole lot of things. So alcohol interferes with the brain's communication pathways that can affect the way brain looks and works. These disruptions can change mood and behavior, obviously. And then there is a problem with the heart. Drinking a lot over a long time or too much on a single occasion can damage the heart, causing problems, including
Alcohol poisoning,
stretching and drooping of heart muscles. It can also cause irregular heartbeat. There is the high chance of stroke, high blood pressure. And then if you look at the liver, there is the fatty liver, hepatitis, fibrosis, cirrhosis.
liver cirrhosis.
Yes. Pancreas can have toxic substance that can eventually lead to pancreatitis. Pancreatitis, India.
Yes.
Yeah, and then some other things there. Anyway, there was something that you were saying
Regarding what exactly?
regarding the effects of alcohol.
So yeah, when you look at that's actually the body.
Yeah.
And because the body is what powers who we are, the individual. So if your moods change and you come back home and you look huku machado kwa mama pale,
Yeah.
unauliza sasa wapi food, na ukileta sukuma wiki na mboga, that's hapo ndo vita imeanza.
Yeah.
So you see now it is moving from the individual to the next community or the next line of people around you.
People that depend on you,
Yes.
your loved ones.
Yes. And then before we know it, there's a situation of gender-based violence.
Yeah.
You understand it? Before we know it, somebody has died who was a breadwinner in that community. Maybe there used to be a very good farm. I know of somebody in our village called Eric.
Yeah.
He does what is called nursery. He has a nursery of trees. He does grafting of fruits. He's a very good farmer generally, you know, and he also sprays like a vet. He's a vet officer. That is what he trained for. But generally, he's a very, very well-known farmer. But alcohol, man. That guy
Shitter.
wakes up in the morning and that's the first thing he takes.
Yeah.
And he's a very brilliant person. I think he was excommunicated by TSC at when he was only a deputy. So you see the way this person had a history of employment, a very good teacher, and he had also trained as a vet med at one point. So in a way that you see one individual problem spills over. There's a spillover effect from the individual to the immediate family or the immediate surrounding, and then the community, and then the greater nation that we have as a country.
Yeah.
You understand? And so we have to know how these are linked together. And we understand that, yes, there is, of course, from what I'm reading, the study is still ongoing, because right now we are moving towards, is there a way we can screen? Because we are saying some families keep that predisposition and others are more susceptible. So there is currently there are ongoing research in terms of how can we screen mapema so that we know so and so you might be more predisposed, and therefore we can have preventive measures in terms of helping you evade or avoid alcoholism or alcohol addiction. That's number one. Number two, we are seeing that I think most people don't remember how they first had their first alcohol. Do you remember the first time you had wine?
I don't.
Most people don't.
Don't remember, yes.
Most people don't, because it's usually a very light social setting. Or maybe ulikuwa na maboys pale uko, hey, jonte onja bwana, chukua ka shot.
I was talking to a friend, to a cousin of mine, and asking him the first time he had a weed.
Yes.
And he was telling me that, I don't remember. So he was on the stairs, going down the stairs, and then this guy comes and asks him, dude, have you ever tasted marijuana?
Abuda was miss kunyagi bangi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the guy said, no, I don't. And then the next day they are meeting. He's like, I'm going to the rooftop. You wanna come with me?
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, let's do some. Let's listen to some music.
Okay.
2 tracks, and then we come back and we're going to be talking about what the National Institute of Alcohol and Abuse and Alcoholism is saying about now that you are in this problem. How do you go out of it? How do you attempt your recovery process, your healing process? How do you become a better person after that, right?
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night.
Power Radio. El Shaddai, El Shaddai, El Shaddai. Uko na kile minadai, ulinipenda hata kama misifai.
El Shaddai, El Shaddai, El Shaddai. He's an awesome God. Amenipa such an awesome song. And I'm never lonely. Amenipa such an awesome love. He is an awesome God. And I wanna tell it to the world. Ili wajue ni wewe. Kama si wewe basi nani?
Nasikia landlord ako kwa njia anataka kodi, ni wewe uta provide. Na nina ngori moyoni zinanijaza wori, ila nitakuwa fine.
El Shaddai, uko na kile minadai, ulinipenda hata kama misifai. El Shaddai, El Shaddai, El Shaddai, uko na kile minadai, ulinipenda hata kama misifai. El Shaddai, El Shaddai, El Shaddai. And every day is an awesome day. Na vile unanibariki hata mimi sielewi. And every day you come through in an awesome way. Kwenye dhiki nimepata rafiki wa kweli.
Na kuna kaloni mahali kananijaza wori, ni wewe uta provide. Nina mahari natamani kulipia mpenzi, sote tutakuwa fine. Na madaktari wanasema hali siyo hali, wewe unajua time. Na hisi nguvu zako kwangu, I will call you El Shaddai,
El Shaddai,
El Shaddai.
Ulinipenda hata kama misifai,
hata kama mimi sifai.
El Shaddai, El Shaddai, El Shaddai. Kuna kile minadai, ulinipenda hata kama misifai. El Shaddai, El Shaddai, El Shaddai. Kuna kile minadai, ulinipenda hata kama misifai. El Shaddai, El Shaddai, El Shaddai. Uko na kile minadai, ulinipenda hata kama misifai. El Shaddai, El Shaddai, El Shaddai.
Dear Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change